So welcome everyone to Cut the Curve, another great episode where I interview moguls, mentors, and entrepreneurs. My name is Philip Zweig. I've been investing now in Arizona for 23 years, believe it or not. Time flies, so over 1,000 flips, wholesale, taught a lot of people on fix and flipping, and now all I am doing is short-term Airbnbs, and we're launching a course soon, so stay tuned to that. So today I'm honored to have Kris Ontiveros here with me. He's been a buddy of mine for a few years. We met locally here in Arizona, and so Kris is well-rounded. He's got a great background we're going to talk about here today. So welcome, Kris.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. How did you get into the real estate game?
Oh man, this is a crazy story for me. So growing up through high school, we were just talking about high school. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Kind of had no clue about my options. My dad was Phoenix police, and so he was like, be a cop, go to the military. You know, I was having way too much fun to do any of that. So I went to a bunch of colleges. And again, didn't know what I wanted to do. So one goal I always had since I was 13 is I wanted to live in Portland. We visited Portland, Oregon when I was a teenager. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go up there. A friend of mine went up there with me, and
was this after high school? Or?
Yeah. So I was around 21 years old.
Never been out of Arizona? Always?
No, yeah, born and raised in Arizona. I hated it, right? So so green, lush Portland it looked like
different
paradise
world,
to me.
Sure.
So anyways, went up there and again, struggled, didn't know what I wanted to do. And then 4th of July, we went up to Mount St. Helens. You know, we were out there partying a little bit. The next day we were driving back, and my friend actually fell asleep at the wheel, and we wrecked. We hit head on with another small car. He died, another girl died, and I was messed up. I should have died. So that was kind of like, I had a lot of time to think in the hospital, right? Like, I didn't know what I wanted, but I knew I wasn't happy with what I was doing. So I had to go home. I was messed up. And so I came home, and I was living with my mom, and she had just gone to the Robert Kiyosaki event in San Francisco. So this is when all his books were brand new.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad came out.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? So she went to the big event, and she did what most people do after a big event. They get all excited. They come home and they put their books on the shelf, and they never look at it again, right? So
90-some%, I'd say, dude.
Yeah, right, yeah. So taking action, you always learn something, but most people just shelve it.
Yep.
And so luckily she shelved it, and that's when I read Cash Flow Quadrant. Have you ever read that one?
Yep. The 4 different
So
quadrants
Cash Flow Quadrant just blew my mind, because growing up I didn't know that was possible, right? I still didn't have a career. I didn't.
Right. For the viewers out there, what is that? The premise of the 4 different quadrants that Robert Kiyosaki talks about?
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm sure everybody's read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and they talk about the quadrant. But the quadrant is the 4 different ways to make money. The way that I was raised was the only way I knew, was an employee. You go to school, you get a job, you work for somebody, and I didn't know there was another path. But this book taught me, that you could be self-employed. You know, you could be a doctor, you could be a real estate agent, a lawyer, where you're self-employed. You don't actually work for anybody. I'm like, all right, that's cool. You can be a business owner where other people do the work. And like that one, I had never thought about that. And then you can be an investor, you make enough money, and now your money's working for you. So these are 4 options I didn't know 3 of them existed, really. In my world, they didn't exist.
Yeah, but it sounds like you were looking for something let's face it, at 20, like I know when I graduated college, I still wasn't sure what I was going to do, because a lot of times you get a degree and it's probably not specialized. So say you get a business marketing degree or whatever. So at that young age, I know most people at that age are still searching for who am I going to be in life? What am I going to do?
Yeah.
So you had that injury, that crash, and then you had a lot of time on your hands, but obviously you were searching for something at that time.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of all kinds of possible careers, but then yeah, that book changed my life. From that book, then I read Rich Dad, and then
So you read the Cash Flow Quadrant. Interesting.
Yeah,
Because a lot of people get the Rich Dad, then get in the cash flow. And
yeah, exactly. And so, and then I got a library card, and I went nuts. I read
self-development after. I was the only, I felt like back in the day, because I was the only, I thought the only person at Barnes & Noble in the self-development section. I must have sat there for hours just reading, because same thing. I wasn't sure where I was headed. I was in corporate America, and I was like, there's got to be a different path for me.
Yeah. You search, and eventually you're going to find it, right? So I found real estate.
At that young age, you started in your 20s.
So at this time, I was 24.
Okay.
When I decided to get my real estate license, and I got my license and figured out that it's actually sales, and I'm an introvert. And
ooh, okay.
Oh crap! I better learn. So again, I had to expand myself.
Sure, to grow, right?
Yeah,
how do I get out of my comfort zone?
Yeah, and I hated talking to people. I could never get in front of crowds, anything like that. So I just had to learn. I mean, that was my career. I was about to get married, and I had to support two of us.
There's other people now. Yeah.
Right.
Did you? How did you know what real estate company to go with? There's so many options, and there's so many ways. Nowadays, people in real estate, they get their license, and there's, you could sell homes, you could sell commercials. So how did you
so much.
Pinpoint? Hey, I'm gonna go do this.
Yeah. So my mom actually had her license. She was a very casual real estate agent, but she was at Keller Williams, and I learned all my sales skills there.
Good training program, I hear.
Yeah. The owner broker was a great coach, but I put in the work. That was my full time. I went there every day, 8 hours a day, and put the work in.
Right. Because there's no getting around work, bro. Let's face it. Whatever you guys do, you got to put in the work too, because we could teach and show you all the sales, the skills, but unless you actually do it yourself, you can't know what it's like.
Right.
So you were hungry. It sounds like you found real estate, found good mentors, coaches. Do you remember that first sale you got?
Yeah, it was my aunt and uncle, so it's
nice.
kind
of
cheating.
a soft sale.
Yeah, right.
That's okay to open the door.
Yeah.
I always say get one deal, and then after that, it seems like they all start coming in. So that it kind of gave you that practice where it wasn't challenging. It was probably challenging, but so you did that, and then you started selling more to
Yeah, so sales was going good, so 05, 06, 07, and then kind of...
Oh, yeah, so you got in right when it was...
It was hot, yeah.
Hot market.
It was a lot like it is now, or at least the last 20 months or so here, just crazy. Houses are selling in one day, just a madness. So... sales was cool. I liked it, but
were you kind of a solo introvert sales dude, or what were you?
Yeah, very much so. But I definitely got out of my shell. Toastmasters is what did it for me.
You did. I did Toastmasters too back in the day.
Yeah,
I was scared. I was so scared of getting up there, them ringing that bell.
The bell, right?
Yeah.
It's great, and again, it's practice. It's just getting natural with the environment, and eventually, this is how bad I was. I remember. So we were talking high school earlier. I graduated with 69 kids, and I was I knew everybody. Everybody knew me. We were all friends. It was a small school. I couldn't stand up in front of class without shaking because I was so scared of that, and that was in front of people I know. I cold knocked when I started practicing that, going and door knocking. I practiced on my wife. I door knocked my wife's door, and I was shaking. I was so nervous.
Right. There's just some things hey guys, quick announcement. I just launched my new passive income accelerator course. In this course, you'll learn how I built my Airbnb portfolio to 10 properties and growing while amassing $3,000 to $5,000 per property per month. If you want to learn more, go to piaaccelerator.com/go and sign up for the early bird special. And now back to the podcast. You have that nervousness, and then you have to figure out in your brain, how do you get past this? Because
Right.
is this really what you want to do? And you figure out a way, though, it sounds like, because I hated talking in front of my high school. Like, it wasn't a giant high school, but I was one of the guys that I wasn't interested in. I'd be the last guy to talk.
Right.
So you ended up doing the practice with the wife, and then did you start making, like, habit of cold calling, or how did that all, because there's a lot of door knocking, cold calling. I've never wanted to be a realtor. I always wanted my knowledge, but I didn't get in that way, so I know it's a different business model as far as how you...
Yeah, the blue shirt, khaki pant version of a real estate agent, I hated that world.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I hated sitting open houses and showing. You know, it was okay. You know, 'cause we work with people. It's not like I like the people, but I just didn't like what I was doing. So pretty much from the beginning, I focused on investing. Focused on working with real estate investors and selling fourplexes and single families.
So when you first started, that's what you were doing, just targeting investors?
Yeah. So when I first started, I did rentals because I needed money.
Yeah.
And so that was when Craigslist was brand new.
Okay. Yep.
And so I would go and I would make a list of all the out-of-state numbers, and I'd call them and I'd offer them to, because I figured they were out of state, and for like $400 or $500, I would list their rental. My goal was to build a huge database of investors, which did, but they all kind of lost their houses.
Right, during the...
5 years later.
Yeah, we can laugh now, but for you guys that don't know, it was brutal.
Yeah.
So no matter who you were, it just knocked you out. So I love that what you said, Kris. You started small. Like you didn't have these grand illusions that I'm gonna flip a $2 million house. I'm a brand new, like, that's what I've learned is start somewhere, take action, and keep doing it over and over till you develop a good database of investors. So it sounds like you had a clear-cut goal in mind too from the very beginning.
Yeah, I knew investors would buy more than one property, possibly more than one or two a year. So why am I going to work with a regular buyer where they're not going to sell that house for 5 to 10 years, most likely?
Yeah. Yeah. So if you guys are considering getting your real estate license or have your license, again, like we talked about earlier, there's all different ways to get in real estate. Kris got in through renting properties. He wanted investment because that suited his brain more. But again, we need realtors out there too because they bring a lot of deals. I know for myself, and they're good at what they do. So
that's one of the best parts of being a realtor is you get to be around other realtors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I know hundreds of realtors who now they all know that I'm a real estate investor. So yeah, some of my best deals have come from realtors.
100%. And it sounds like you got over the EBGBs, the nerves in the beginning, and now it's like secondhand to you, just from repetition and doing it. But networking too. You just mentioned networking, which
networking that's all I did. Again, yeah, I mean, you got to put in the work again, like you said. I believe, and networking is huge. I always, had a goal to get a certain amount of cards, because
we sound like twins.
Yeah, because you never want to give your card away because who knows if they're going to call you. If I get their card, I know I'm going to call. For
sure. So when I was in corporate, I sold photocopiers for a while. So they would tease me because I'd come back with a stack of the large cards, but I knew there was plenty of people in there that would eventually buy a copier that you could network, and it's the same way in any sales field, any relationship business. So you kept all those realtor cards, and as a realtor, some people think it's competition, but I never thought of it that way.
No way.
Because
I mean, most realtors suck.
Yep.
So really, there is no competition. Yeah, if you do a modest amount, I don't know, maybe 5 million in sales, 7 million maybe now that the market's up. You're going to be in the top 2% of realtors. So there is no competition. I mean, at all. There's literally how many people live in Arizona? I think there's like 5 million households in Arizona.
Yeah.
And there's 60,000 realtors. I mean,
There's
if you can't find some deals there.
there's a lot of deals out there. So, and again, like for myself, if I'm working with a realtor, they'll ask me, "Hey, Flip, do you work with other realtors?" Of course I do, because if you could bring me as many properties as I need, I would just work with you. But again, you're in one area of town, maybe Bob's in a different area finding deals. So
Right.
it all works out in the end as an investor.
Yeah, my friend Alberto, he bought the list of realtors. I get emails from him all the time. I want you to be my realtor. Find me a deal. I'll pay you.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
For sure. So you did that. You networked with a lot of investors. Did you stay in the game? So 08, 09 hit you. And was that the first time you ever got like, were you investing yourself at that point too yet or no?
I wasn't.
Okay.
I got lucky. I had a few lease options going. So yeah, I lost all those certainly. So I didn't get hit very hard. But where I did get hit hard was as a real estate agent. My career, I mean, you went from 60,000 sales in a year to 20 or 10, right? Nobody was buying, nobody was selling, nobody was doing anything. So you just had to really work to make it, to make a dollar. Luckily, I got latched on with a couple REO companies.
That's what I was going to ask you. Why didn't you just quit? Like a lot of people just said, "I'm done with real estate. I'm going to go find something different than real estate mortgage," because you've seen a lot of that, people getting out of the field back
Because
then.
the last job I had was at Sonora Quest. I made $12 an hour to get yelled at by old people because I sent them a $50 bill.
Dang.
So yeah,
that wasn't a
So
fly,
why would I not quit? Why would I not go back? So while I was reading all these books and learning and
the
growing,
mindset, right?
Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. That book changed my life. Jeff Fagan, right?
Yep.
So Jeff Fagan taught a chapter a week, and so I've lived that book. And I mean, I would never go work a 9 to 5 ever. There's so many there's a million ways to make $1 million in real estate. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Just you have to start as the key. You have to focus and keep doing it. So you transitioned into the
I
REOs
did, yeah. So I got on with a company. Like, it was just, everything happens the way it's supposed to, right?
Absolutely,
We're down in the dumps. And it was still hard doing the REOs because the commissions were $600, $1,000. It was because my zip code was very, very low price properties. But I worked with a asset management company. REO, guys, is real estate owned, right? Bank owned properties. And an asset management company is kind of like an intermediary. So Bank of America hires this company goes and hires all the realtors to help dispose. Well, I'm sure you remember that. There was a huge disparity in properties that would sell, like in Levine, right? So we're talking about a community that was very new. All the houses were probably 5 years old or less.
Yeah.
And all of the air conditioners were on the ground. So we're in a depression, right? And so theft is high. All these houses would get there.
I can't tell you how many air conditioners.
Oh my gosh!
I was like, showed up. Where's my air conditioner? So finally, I put the thing on the
cages, right? Who knew AC cages was a thing? It really wasn't a thing. People had to start businesses, right? There's a million ways to make $1 million. Start a cage company.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I got another story about that, but so huge discrepancy, right? If this property is ready to go, because they're new, right? So maybe they need carpet paint, maybe at the most. But not having an AC unit means you can't have a normal buyer. It's got to be a cash buyer. So it would sell for $120,000 if it has a $5,000 AC installed. But they wouldn't do it. All the banks are just like, get rid of it, go. So our company would go in, we'd put in the AC, we would carpet paint, and we would sell it for $120 for the company. So I got basically paid to learn how to fix and flip.
Interesting. So you knew they weren't doing something, so you started taking
The asset management company did. So
Okay.
that was their strategy.
That was their
Yeah.
strategy to put the AC in.
Yeah.
So that you were onto something. You're like, hey,
Yeah. So I would have to hire everybody. They would pay them in draws. And so that's where I built all my GC teams. And I learned what stuff cost. And because I'd have to get them budgets and all this. And so.
Because you got to know the numbers. You got to know
yeah.
how much does a 1,200 square foot home cost to renovate? Like what's paint, what's carpet, everything. So that was a great education to break down for you.
Yeah. So eventually that dried up,
And adapting markets like real estate, certain things dry up, so you adapt and you shift it into another venture, right?
Yeah. And it was crazy because it shifted pretty quickly too. I'm sure you remember the days we never had 300 foreclosures in a year, right? We wouldn't even have that many. But during that, we would have 300 foreclosures in a day.
Yeah.
Several days.
Yeah.
300. So it was just
mind-boggling
going down there. But then, it bottomed, and now I'm getting all these listings for South Phoenix properties, 20,000, 25,000, 30,000, and they're all in good condition. Short sales, right?
Yep.
We would do a short sale for 30 grand.
What year was this? Do you remember?
2010.
2010. Okay. Yeah.
So then that's when I started buying.
Okay, so you're like, there's tons of margins here, or what were you thinking?
Rentals, cash flow. That's what I was thinking. Rich dad, poor dad, cash flow. Let me get a bunch of these rentals. I would go borrow from private individuals. All the clients that I sold properties to, I went to them and
because you stayed in touch and you treated them well. So they're like, oh yeah, Kris. So it's again, guys, it's about the relationships. You want to keep those relationships.
Yeah. So I had a guy who would lend me 100% of the purchase for 15% interest, which seems high, but I'd buy it for $25,000.
You would buy a house for $25,000? Was this Levine or
South Phoenix?
South Phoenix, okay.
Yeah. So I'd buy a house for $25,000, ready to go, and so my payment on that 15%, what's that, like $275, $290 a month?
Right.
And they would rent back then for $700 all day.
Okay.
And so 100% financing, I'm paying my investor 15%, and I'm cash flowing.
Wow. So did you have to renovate these properties at
Some
the
of
time?
them.
Okay.
But, there were plenty. There were so many. I remember when I was looking for properties, I would literally go look at 20 bank-owned properties a day, put offers on 10, low ball offers on 10 of them.
And these are standing houses. You're paying $25,000. What are these worth today in that area?
South Phoenix, an old brick block home is, you can't get anything for under $250.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I sold them all. I sold them all right around $100,000. I sold them all. And
it's because you're in the game and you're like, so we'll talk about different opportunities come up when you're like, is it the time to sell? Is it the time to transition to larger fourplexes, eightplex? So be interested to hear what you moved on. You had those as cash flow cows probably for.
Yeah, they were great. I sold a bunch of them to really get my fix and flip career going.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah.
From there, you raised some money, and then you were desiring to do fix and flip versus the passive.
Yeah, passive was great, and continued to buy those here and then. But yeah, I did sell most of my portfolio and fix and flipped until around 2018.
Okay.
Everything just got so thin, margins just. And
I feel you.
And so.
I think let's see. I got out shortly after you on fix and flips because how do you for me at least, guys, I wasn't finding the margins, and I've heard that for years, but it was really factual when you have these iBuyers coming in, and it's like. Yeah. And I didn't know how many I could do every month anymore either. Like, all right, we're doing 4 a month. Can we pick up 4 deals and make money? So that was kind of how I decided to move out of that space and get into the short-term rental space. That was about 2.5 years ago. We still fix it, but we end up keeping it in our own portfolio.
Oh, because you've learned that's the smart way to do it, right?
At this time in my life, it's really the smart way, and we're excited that every day we're in the business, but we're still learning about the business and always adapting.
Always pivoting, right?
Pivoting.
So
I love that word.
I had to pivot in my life when I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had to go in a completely opposite direction. I had to pivot when the market crashed. And then I decided to pivot into fix and flips, right? Being an investor instead of a salesperson. And then when that dried up, we had to pivot once again into new builds.
Yeah, and that's what you're doing now, I understand.
That is, yeah. So we're 90% of our projects are ground up development.
So what does that mean, ground up?
So a typical deal for us is an older neighborhood, a starter neighborhood, up to maybe mid-range. So in our market, maybe 300 to 600.
Okay.
Right? When our median's, 450 or so. Mm-hmm. So those are the types of neighborhoods when we find an empty lot and we build a lot, we buy the lot and we build a single house. An infill is what it's called.
Infill,
Yeah.
Got it. So you'll build one infill property in that neighborhood or when you buy the land.
Yep.
Okay.
And then, and that's mainly what we do. If we can find 2 lots side by side, that's even better. And we just bought an acre, and that's going to be 3 lots. And we are in final phases of civil engineering for our subdivision. We're doing a 22 lot subdivision.
Wonderful. So, Kris started small with 1. Now you're doing a 22.
22, and then we're doing another deal over in southeast Phoenix by the airport, and that's going to be 6 fourplexes.
Amazing. So, do you need some sort of, for viewers out there, do you need some sort of license to build a home, or like what as an investor?
Yeah, well, we hire GCs, we hire general contractors with their license. We don't have a license in house, but we are going to get a license in house. Yeah.
Gotcha. Eventually, so how do you learn the plans and all that? Because there's permits and
Right.
it's way different.
Yeah.
I've never built a house from ground up, but I know from flipping a lot, it's some of this things probably translate, but there's some differences, I'm sure.
Well, kind of. That's why I took the leap, Flip, because I love doing big spread remodels, right? So I love like fire damage. So
Okay.
like a lot of people,
Yes.
they won't touch fire damage. But once I started doing them, it's just a few more steps, right?
Because I think they walk in and they're like, what is all
Holy
like
crap,
they
yeah.
see it's just like a hoarder's house. Some people won't do hoarder. I'm like, I'll do
Oh,
that all
hoarder
day.
houses are great, yeah. So, you're just going to do a few more things. Instead of doing your basic cosmetic and a new kitchen and bathroom, now you're coming in, you're replacing the electric, you're replacing the plumbing, maybe HVAC, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I'm just like, what are we not doing? We're not doing underground plumbing and the foundation, because I've had to frame up a house that burned down.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
We've done all the rough work.
Yeah, you pretty much
So-
built the house besides the
Yeah.
underground. And
So I'm like, if I know what everything else costs, so now let me just find out what does it cost to buy land, what does it cost to do the foundation.
because I think
And,
that's what stops a lot of people is they don't understand the cost. And,
Yeah.
that's being educated, doing your research, and really dialing in on the cost, what you should pay GCs, because GCs could range.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, and you need to know how to work with them, how to talk with them. My GC, who let's just throw out $125 a foot, he'll come to your neighborhood right here to this house, and he'll quote you $200 a foot.
100%, yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
They know their investors, they know their homeowners, and you got to know the right guys. And some guys, they just don't work with investors, so
yeah.
we had to probably go through 70 interviews to find 2.
You uncover a lot of gems after a lot of hard digs, but again, you got to dig up the gems that are out there, and they're out there, and then you see how you work together, right? Like just being around the trades. Some trades, they talk a great game, but can they actually finish the game?
Yeah.
Is my thing. So you got to test them. And people ask me for referrals nowadays, and I don't like to give referrals on subcontractors because it's tough.
Buyer beware.
Yeah, buyer beware. So you found a couple and you did your first one back in 2018, 2019?
Yep, 2018. So that's when we can buy lots in South Phoenix for 30,000. Now they're 80,000.
Yeah.
So, but luckily the houses cost more too. So,
Yep.
yeah. And so our company name is Build a Better Phoenix. We want to
Love it.
really help beautify the valley, and we want to get ahead of the future. Our subdivision, we're looking to have solar, xeriscape. Water, as is a huge issue.
Yep.
We have none. And, and I just read an article this morning about the city I live in, Mesa, is they're way down. If this happens for a couple more years, they're literally not going to have water. So we need some
It's
rain.
the only state that I don't know any other state that they call it desert landscape. So we have all the rocks. I tried regular grass, never works. So
Right.
just put in the artificial turf. And I know a lot of people try grass, and yeah, there's just a shortage of water. So I don't know how that's all going to parlay the next decade or two.
It's a problem.
Yeah, it's a definite problem. So as far as the types of homes, do you have a certain look or style that?
Yeah, we love our modern design. We have a bunch of standard plans, so we never want to overdevelop for a certain neighborhood. That goes with type, and that also goes for pricing.
Okay.
So whenever we get a new lot, what I'll do, for example, Sunny Slope. We just
Yep.
got one in northern side of Sunny Slope.
Beautiful mountains there. I
Oh,
love it.
beautiful,
That's
yeah,
gorgeous.
great neighborhood. And so we pull the comps, and what do they sell, and then how big are they? So we noticed there's a lot of little houses around there, right? So they're 12, 13, 1,400 square feet, and they go up to the 500 range. Or it jumps up to 650, 700, but those are 2,500, 3,000 square foot houses. So we're just going to build until the price per foot starts to drop. So that's why we could have built a 3,000 square foot house, but we're going to build a 1,300 because it's going to be faster and we're going to have a bigger profit margin.
Yeah. So knowing your market and what to put in that areas.
And we need a cool one, so that's where we're going to put in our modern. It's going to have really cool metal siding and stuff like that. Opposed to, in South Phoenix, we'll also do a 1,300, but we'll do a standard stucco house.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Early on, I messed up. This is called Cut the Curve. So we're trying to share our, problems, the things that happened to us. So I did a project in Canto, and I was fairly new, maybe first 3 years in, and there's areas where you can't do the same things where you would do in a Chandler suburban. So I went in and did the exact same thing and as I did in a Chandler house, and I'm like, why isn't it selling? And that is not what people want in Encanto. It was more of a historic, you do certain looks in those properties, and I think that was a good learning lesson. I lost a lot of money on that project. So
And that happens. Nobody talks about that, guy.
Yeah.
People lose money all the time. I've lost money on multiple projects. It's reality.
It is, and that's another thing. If you decide, guys, to partner with someone, you could talk about the wins all day, but make sure you talk about what happens when we lose, right? Because
and your investors, they don't want to take an L.
Yeah.
So again, if you're partnering with people, borrowing money, anything like that, you want to make sure that they know, all the risks that can happen. Even in a good market, we've had a couple of issues with some rentals out of state, and
again, if you're in the game, you're going to lose. Hopefully you don't lose as much as you win, of course, but there's going to be losses.
Yes.
So that's a reality. Kris has been there. I've been there. And then you just learn from those experiences. You're like,
right. Never make the same mistake twice.
Because it sticks. It's it just sticks in your brain. You could have a 100K win, and it lasts for a while, but then all of a sudden you lose 20K, and you're like, oh, man. So you just understand you're going to lose sometimes, but just educate. Surround yourself with people like Kris, myself, who've lost, and we're going to help shorten your learning curve. So I love what you're doing now, Kris, because that's the great thing about real estate. You could shift and change, and now would you call yourself a custom builder, or what would,
We don't really do custom homes. We're more of a spec builder.
spec builder? So
Yeah.
you find the land again, and then you come up with the designs, the plans, everything, and then you'll have like a release of 4 homes at a time, or how are you going to do it for the subdivision?
So for the subdivision, again, you got to always be able to adapt. So if the subdivision was going in now, we would build the house, put in our own very nice finishes, and we would just sell it. In a market that's slowing, we will probably look at pre-sales, where we build a couple model homes, because before we were just going to build them, sell them, because the market's so hot. Where are we going to be in 7 months? I'm not really sure. So either we build some model homes and we pre-sell them, which that's going to be a huge item. We're going to be selling online, having virtual walkthroughs, having really good renderings, and letting people know, with all the drone footage, and you can sell a lot online these days. Getting those.
So
sold.
COVID did have some positives there, because again, I think I met you during COVID. I was just thinking we met on Instagram. Hey guys, quick announcement. I just launched my new Passive Income Accelerator course. In this course, you'll learn how I built my Airbnb portfolio to 10 properties and growing, while amassing $3,000 to $5,000 per property per month. If you want to learn more, go to piaaccelerator.com/go and sign up for the early bird special. And now back to the podcast. So that's super cool. So going back to that home in Sunny Slope, how long does something, you said 1,300 square feet?
Yep.
How long does that take from start to finish?
So that one needs a septic, so that's going to slow us down. But if we're just building our house normal and we're just tapping into the sewer in the street, our GC gives us a 6-month time frame, and we look to do it in 120 days, so 4 months.
Gotcha. That's pretty. You're cruising.
Yeah,
If
they do it sooner than 4 months, they get bonused. If they do
nice.
it
So there's some
longer than
incentives.
6 months, they pay.
Gotcha. So the business side, we talked a little bit about that, Kris, but I know you're big into self-development, book club you had. That's how we met, through Facebook, and you had your Leveling Up Mastermind, and so you're sharing that with people all the time. How's that going?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Real estate's fun, but entrepreneurship is more fun in my world. So a few years back, I was in a fantastic organization. It was called EO Accelerator, entrepreneur organization. They have several levels. It goes Accelerator, EO, YPO, and basically it's business owners. It's small business owners up to medium size. And it was great. We met every month, and they helped hold me accountable, and they helped me grow my business. It was my group of people, and then we had one mentor. And so after a couple of years, I left that organization, and I kind of missed the accountability. Like, I need someone there being like, yay, you said you were going to do this. What's going on?
100%, yeah.
Because I was a solopreneur at the time. I didn't have any business partners at that time. And so I started the accountability group, and we met every Monday morning, 6 a.m., the first thing, just to kick off the week.
Was that on computer, or did you meet for coffee? Or?
We actually met in person the first year.
Okay.
Yeah, we would meet in my office, and it was great. We held each other accountable. We helped do some great things. The next year we did it, and we grew, and then it eventually just became a huge time suck for me. And while I wanted to...
So you just evolved.
Yeah.
You taught a lot of people, and you gained a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah, so we went online with the book club. And then during COVID, everything kind of stopped. We were planning a mastermind, like an off-location mastermind. And so COVID killed all those ideas. And so finally, We were having a blessings dinner, which we can talk about that. We're having a blessings dinner, and we're like, would you guys go to this? Would you go to that? Like, yeah, so let's do it. Let's just do it, you know? And so I got 5 amazing speakers. We hosted the event in Cabo. And
I'm so bummed I missed that. I wanted to go. Hopefully you'll have another one.
We are.
Okay.
So yeah, it was Cabo, 5-star, all-inclusive. Relax, learn, and play is what we did. So for 2 days, we had these great speakers. We had a life coach, authors of all these great books that I love. And then we went on excursions, sunset cruise, snorkeling.
Can't beat it.
Yeah, it was so fun. And it's a write-off, right?
Yep.
So it was a huge success. We are doing it again. So November.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, November 1st.
Write that on my calendar.
Yeah. This time we're heading to, it's also Hyatt Ziva. So it's another 5-star, all-inclusive.
In Cabo or somewhere else?
We're moving to Puerto Vallarta.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah. We wanted to try something new. It's great for couples or singles, but it is going to be a nice getaway. We had a lot of couples go, and it really helped their businesses a lot. There's a lot of huge takeaways.
And that's awesome if you're a couple that are entrepreneurs, or maybe one's an entrepreneur and the other one's not.
That's a lot of what we had, and that was so powerful because they want to help, you know what I mean? But a lot of times they don't know how, and you know how to communicate together. I think our couples had huge breakthroughs, especially.
That's
cool.
Cool.
It was so fun. And now we're building this community, so it's Leveling Up Mastermind, and
is that on Facebook, or where do people find you?
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, and
Okay.
And we're gonna start doing some YouTube videos. But November 1st through 5th in Puerto Vallarta, we're kicking that off next week.
I'm there. Yeah,
I love
sounds
it.
great.
Great.
You might have to get me off the excursions because I tend to enjoy those, but I'll be at the teachings too. I'm sure those are going to be.
Well, that's the thing. Excursions are their own thing because we want to have fun.
Right.
You know?
So you have time in the day to.
And then there's always options to stay before and after. Like we're big into scuba diving, so we're going to go early and we're going to scuba dive for a couple days, and then I'll stay a day later or 2 with my wife. You know, so just some alone time. But yeah. We have the learning, and then we have the excursions. They don't interrupt each other.
So I always learned real estate and making money go hand in hand because you got to have fun in whatever you do. Obviously, we're intense some days, but having that fun aspect in business and being around other entrepreneurs is amazing. So
it's so fun, yeah. So hopefully. We have 40 people that are going to be able to go to that one. We have a limit for 40. So
excellent. What?
Because we want to keep it intimate.
You had mentioned the blessings. What's that?
Yes. All right. Everybody do this. Do this. So this guy, Dan Fleischman, I don't know. I don't think he made it up, but I just saw his post.
Okay.
And it's simple. You get 10 people, 8 to 10 people at least. You know, just get 10 of your friends, entrepreneur friends, right?
Okay.
This is great for networking. And you go to a restaurant, you know, something that's not real expensive, you know, maybe $20 for an entree. And everybody has to bring a crisp $100 bill, okay? So you eat, you talk, you network, you do business. Like we've done deals out of these. And then at the end of the day, everybody puts $100 in. And typically, depending on how many people, you're going to tip that waiter anywhere between like $500 and $1,500. And it completely blesses them. It makes their day.
That's amazing. I didn't know you were going there with that, but I was thinking, like I went for Mexican food and I tip. Like I'd like to tip because they were slow. So I'm like, that's a great way to share
so
with the
you know,
waiters.
we let the universe pick our server for us. You know, you never know what you're going to get. One of the times we had it, the guy was just a total jerk. But you know what? It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
That's
matter
the
at all.
point.
And those are the types of people that we need to bless. You know what I mean?
Love that. Love that.
So yeah, everybody do that. It's so easy. It's $100 because what does it cost me? It cost me $100.
Yeah.
And we post on Facebook, you know, come join us. Because I have such a huge network, just like you have a gigantic network. If you just said, hey guys, I'm doing this.
I'm going to do that. I just learned something today.
So now we're up in our game and we want to get 30 to 40 people at our next one because we're going to rent out a whole place. And it's a small business. You know, it's a family run business. So, you know, this guy's going to make like $3-4 grand. in one night.
Yeah, yeah.
And what's it going to cost me? It's going to cost me $100.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to put stuff on. I'm not putting in $1,000, anything
Right.
like that. I'm just taking action, and anybody can do that.
Yeah. Simple little action that makes someone's day, their week, their month,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, I mean, they say $500 really can change a lot of people's lives. You know, $500 either way. You know, you lose 500, you gain 500. That's gonna.
Yeah.
Some people can't pay rent.
For sure.
You know.
So that's a great lesson, and hopefully some of you guys will apply it after you see this.
Do it.
So I've really enjoyed having you here and just getting to know you. I know with the book clubs, I was really liking all the books. I'm like, I haven't read that one, because you were pulling out some. You know, we read Traction, and there was some other ones that.
Yeah, Atomic Habits. Oh my gosh, so many. What's the Limitless?
Yep.
The Daniel Quick. Is that his name? So many great books out there. And then, you know, reading them together. And then not only would we read them, we would talk about them and implement. That was the whole point of my book club, is don't just learn and implement. You know,
Right.
My mom went to Kiyosaki.
And that sat there and got dusty. Matter of fact, I think my son has the book too. I don't think he's ever read it. I've given him that when he was 14 or 15 for Christmas. I'm going to ask him tonight if I don't think he's read it. Right.
We pay for books. Yeah, so $25 if you read it and give me a summary.
Oh, at home?
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
You got to bribe sometimes. You know?
Yes.
And hey,
motivate.
I'm going to pay him for a base hit, right? If
Right.
he does, I'll reward him for that. So I'm
Okay.
definitely going to reward him for learning.
Yeah, and again, cut the curve. We're learning from entrepreneurs, mentors. It's the same thing if you're reading books, though. You're learning from that person's experience in that field, and it's going to take you to new levels. But again, the thing is, with people in the book club, you can apply it. They're gonna hold you accountable. So that's what mentorship, the team aspect, is about. And everyone needs to be around a team, a mentor, and you know, great things happen when you're around great minds. Because I don't think like you, you don't think like me. We're but we came up with this good idea. Let's implement.
Absolutely, yeah.
So really excited. Thanks for being here. What is something you are going to envision this year for 2022?
Ooh, what am I going to envision? So I'm going to build a subdivision. So that's going to be a big accomplishment. And then, you know, I'm going to work on living my best life and spending time with my family, because Jesse Itzler wrote a few books, and he did Living with Monks, and then he lived with David Goggins. You ever read David Goggins' book?
David. Yeah, I like
so
him.
he lived with him for a while, and just lots of great lessons in there. But we only have a certain amount of time. Your kids are 19 and 17, right?
Yep.
And so when you think about it, you know, you have a 2-year-old, and you think you have all the time in the world, but you have 18 summers. That's all you get. You get 18 summers, right?
Yep.
Because your eldest is in college, and she's busy, and you know. So I'm gonna make the most of my summers. We're going to Alaska. We're going to Florida. We're gonna just spend
As you
time
should,
together.
and that's why I left corporate America, because I didn't want to not be able to coach. I didn't want to not be able to volunteer, to travel. If I want to go a month to the beach with the kids in the summer, if you guys want that, it's out there, but it's a choice too. Like, you made a choice, I made a choice, but you can't get that time, especially with your kids.
Nope.
You can't get any of those 18 summers, and if you only got 2 weeks in corporate America, that's tough.
I mean, that's one of the. So when my kids were born, my wife and I made the decision that we want her to stay home. You know, to raise them, you know, with the money she would have made minus what we paid in childcare.
Yeah.
It just didn't make sense. So that was a really important thing for us. And we struggled big time, but that's what she did. She stayed home, she raised our babies, right? But it got to a point where, okay, now they don't really need you that much. They're at school all day.
And
what are you going to do?
Right.
And she was more than willing to go get a job, but I'm just like, no, because that's going to affect our lifestyle. If she goes and gets a job and then we say, hey, we're going to Alaska for 2 weeks, okay, well, you're fired.
right. You can't
know?
just, hey, my husband and I are planning a trip and we want to go for 2 or 3 weeks. Is it okay? And they'll be like, sorry.
I think that's the biggest downfall of being an e-entrepreneur. You know, being in that is you don't make your own rules. And
as far as being an employee?
Being an employee.
Yeah. So luckily, you saw that very early with that change, because that's all you knew you said.
Yeah.
So
got lucky. Yeah, I could have. You never know how it would have gone, but you know, things happen the way they're supposed to.
I think so. And again, nowadays with social media, there is so much mentorship. Anything you want, you could find. But I think the first step is you got to know what you want, because you could get like. I talked to my video guy. Like once you start doing things, people are going to try to pull you in all these directions.
Right.
So you really got to stay like. I'm just doing Airbnb. I'm getting good. I'm growing my roots. Just like you, you're only building right now in Arizona. Who knows if eventually you'll go to other states. But.
Yeah, but success is boring. We were talking about this earlier, right? So do one thing and do it well. And because everything is you're always, oh, that looks cool. I can do that. Why don't I try that? One of my business partners, Kelly Rojas, she was at the event in Cabo, and one of her biggest takeaways was say no. She says yes to everything.
Yeah.
And it pulls her in a million different directions. No, focus on this
and
excel at it.
It's that maybe the pleaser tendency where you don't want to disappoint anyone. So, and that caused me a lot of mental stress. Like 4 or 5 years ago, because I was yes, but that's a good takeaway.
Yeah,
so,
saying no can be powerful.
So, leveling up is the name where they should follow you to check out all your
Leveling Up Mastermind and Cashflow Kris. The last 2 years I've been hard at work starting and ramping up an architect firm, and so I haven't done a lot of Cashflow Kris stuff, but we're going to start doing some more videos. From the Cabo, I've hired a few people to help us do that, so it's important. I love what you do. You know, you're helping these people out, cutting the curve. And giving and giving and giving. You don't have to do this. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's a real blessing to do it though, and we got great people around us helping us with it. And you came by, and just other guys in Arizona community want to come by and share with you guys. So
Arizona, Phoenix is the all-stars, right?
Oh, rock stars.
You
rock
have
stars.
you probably have more real estate gurus in this zip code than there are in any other state.
It's crazy. How did that all everyone
This is the spot. Kiyosaki's even here, right?
Yeah, he moved here, and Grant Cardone I hear moved up to Scottsdale. So everyone wants to be in Arizona, but summer's a little challenging, let's say that.
That's why I leave. I'll be in Alaska.
Yeah, so I hear it's beautiful there in the summer.
Yeah.
But great having you, brother. Appreciate you. And you guys, I hope you enjoyed Cut the Curve, and share it with your friends. And Kris is an amazing guy, and follow him, and we'll see you next time. Peace.